Woke up with a start, a cold sweat dampening her brow. The image of Barbara Jean, impossibly thin, almost skeletal, yet radiating a smug superiority, still haunted her. Yoo-hoo, I'm here, and I'm thin. The phantom Barbara Jean had crowed in her dream, her voice echoing with a chilling emptiness. Reba sat up, her heart pounding. She glanced at the alarm clock. 5:30 a.m. Too early to be awake, too late to fall back into a peaceful sleep. She swung her legs out of bed, the cool floor a welcome sensation against her bare feet. Yeah, thin is as thick and dumb as one, she muttered to herself, trying to shake off the lingering unease of the dream. It was a crude thought, born of insecurity, but it offered a momentary, fleeting comfort. She padded into the bathroom, splashing cold water on her face. As she looked in the mirror, she scrutinized her reflection. The familiar lines around her eyes, the slight softening around her jawline, the way her favorite flannel pajamas clung a little too snugly around her middle. She wasn't fat, not by any stretch of the imagination, but she wasn't thin, not like Barbara Jean. Yikes, what's eating Cooper grape, she mumbled, quoting one of her old jokes, trying to lighten the mood. But the self-deprecating humor felt hollow today. She remembered another part of the dream, a surreal image of Barbara Jean and Jordan, her trainer, standing side by side, their figures so perfectly aligned they looked like the number 10. 1 for Jordan, 0 for Barbara Jean, a perfect, unattainable ideal. Oh, thank God it was just a nightmare, she whispered, relief washing over her. Then, as if on cue, the cheerful, slightly nasal voice of Barbara Jean echoed in her mind, a phantom sound from the previous day. Yoo-hoo, I'm here, and I'm thin. Reba groaned, burying her face in her hands, and the nightmare continues. She stumbled into the kitchen, the early morning light filtering through the blinds. The house was quiet, the kids still asleep. She needed coffee, strong and black, to chase away the lingering shadows of her dreams. As the coffee brewed, Reba found herself humming a familiar tune, a melody that always grounded her. My roots are planted in the past, though my life is changing fast. Who I am is who I want to be. I'm a single mom who works through hard, loves her kids, and never stops. With gentle hands and the heart of a fighter, I'm a survivor. It was her anthem, a reminder of her strength and resilience. But even as she hummed, a tiny seed of doubt, planted by Barbara Jean's transformation, began to sprout. Was who she was now still who she wanted to be? Or was the world, with its relentless pursuit of perfection, slowly nudging her towards a different path? Just then, Ben shuffled into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes. Hey Mom, you making some pancakes? Reba looked at the pancake mix on the counter, then at the empty cereal boxes, a decision solidified in her mind. No, I'm making everyone a power smoothie. She grabbed a blender and a bag of frozen berries, and this afternoon, I'm taking a power walk. Ben stared at her, bewildered. Power walk? Mom, you never power walk. You occasionally stroll to the mailbox. Reba gave him a stern look. Well, things are changing. Ben, we're embracing a healthier lifestyle around here. A moment later, Van appeared, fully dressed and surprisingly alert. He took in the scene. Reba with her blender, Ben with his confused expression. Power walk. Don't forget your power cane, Reba. Van, that is not nice, Reba snapped, though a small part of her wanted to laugh at his quick wit. If Mom does aerobics, she could shatter her hip, Van continued, clearly enjoying his teasing. Reba narrowed her eyes, a dangerous glint in them. And yet, in the blink of an eye, I can make you both homeless. Ben and Van immediately straightened up, their faces piling. The threat, though delivered with a hint of humor, was real enough to make them reconsider their job. Reba had a way of cutting through the nonsense, and her children knew it. Before the tension could fully dissipate, the front door burst open again, and Barbara Jean swept in, her energy practically vibrating through the house. She was dressed in sleek, form-fitting athletic wear, her hair pulled back in a high ponytail, a triumphant smile on her face. Hey everybody, I'm here, and she began, her voice ringing with newfound confidence. Reba, still holding the blender, cut her off. Oh, shut up and have a donut, Barbara Jean. She gestured towards a box of glazed donuts that had miraculously appeared on the counter. A peace offering from Van, perhaps, or a desperate attempt to ward off the health craze. Barbara Jean paused, her smile faltering slightly. Oh, Reba, you're not still trying to lose weight by drinking those power smoothies, are you? Jordan, my trainer, says that those are loaded with hidden carbs. Reba felt a vein throb in her temple. Barbara Jean, I am all for adopting a healthier lifestyle. But seriously, I mean, there has to be some sort of... She trailed off, noticing Van and Ben staring intently at Barbara Jean, their eyes wide with unconcealed admiration. Will you stop staring at her? Reba demanded, feeling a surge of irritation. Van blinked, tearing his gaze away from Barbara Jean. We've been staring at her for the past 2 hours. Well, she's pretty, Ben offered. A simple, honest observation. I'm pretty, Reba retorted, a defensive edge to her voice. Well, of course you are, Reba, Barbara Jean chimed in, oblivious to the underlying tension. You've always been pretty, but she's new pretty. Reba felt a chill run down her spine. New pretty. The words hung in the air, loaded with implications. It wasn't just about Barbara Jean anymore. It was about Reba's own sense of self, her place in a world that seemed to constantly redefine beauty. Oh, Van, that is such a funny story you can tell to your next wife, Reba said, her voice dripping with sarcasm, a clear warning shot fired at her. Van, however, seemed to miss the sarcasm entirely. So, Van, you really think that I'm new pretty? Barbara Jean asked, preening slightly. Oh, yeah, you're like a bleached-out Halle Berry, Van replied, completely earnest. Barbara Jean beamed. Thank you. You're welcome, Van said, equally pleased with himself. He then clapped his hands together. I'm gonna go make some calls. He strutted out of the kitchen, presumably to spread the word about Barbara Jean's transformation. Reba watched him go, then turned her gaze back to Barbara Jean, who was still basking in Van's compliment. The moment felt surreal, a bizarre scene from a sitcom, but the sting of Van's words, and Barbara Jean's casual acceptance of them, was very real. So, Barbara Jean, Reba began, trying to keep her voice even. Yeah. Is it true that, when you lose a bunch of weight, you, want to do, bounce? Reba asked, immediately regretting the clumsy phrasing but unable to stop herself. It was a crude attempt to gauge Barbara Jean's new priorities, to see if her transformation was purely external, or if it had seeped into every aspect of her life, including her marriage to Brock. Barbara Jean's eyes widened slightly, a hint of blush creeping up her neck. Van, she gasped, scandalized, though a mischievous glint in her eyes suggested she wasn't entirely displeased by the implication. Cheyenne, Reba's daughter, entered the kitchen, drawn by the commotion. She had heard Van's earlier comments and now, seeing Barbara Jean's radiant confidence, felt a familiar knot of insecurity tighten in her stomach. Oh, Cheyenne, don't be upset, Barbara Jean said, sensing her discomfort. You're still hot. You're like a bleached-out Don Brady. Cheyenne blinked. Jan, Brady and Marcia. She then turned to Reba, a desperate plea in her eyes. Marcia. Reba sighed. This was getting out of hand. The focus on appearance, the constant comparisons. It was toxic. So, Reba, I got an idea, Barbara Jean continued, oblivious to the simmering tension. You should come down to the gym and meet Jordan, my trainer. Seriously, he will change your life. I mean, he is so much more than a personal trainer. He taught me how to work out and eat right. We go over the clothes I'm gonna wear, the movies I'm gonna see. Reba frowned. Whoa, the movies you're gonna see. What's that got to do with you getting in shape? Barbara Jean waved a dismissive hand. Oh, nothing. We just have the same sense of humor. That Tim Allen just kills us. I mean, whether he's playing a dog or Santa Claus, you just buy it. She laughed, a bright, tinkling sound. So, you'll come meet Jordan? No, Reba said flatly, her patience wearing thin. Oh, come on, Reba, Barbara Jean pleaded, her enthusiasm undimmed. I want my best girlfriend to meet my best boyfriend. A sudden silence fell over the kitchen. Barbara Jean's eyes widened, and she clapped a hand over her mouth. Oh, whoops! That came out wrong. Reba stared at her, a cold knot forming in her stomach. Boyfriend? She knew Barbara Jean was excitable, prone to exaggeration, but this felt different. This felt dangerous. Well, thanks anyway, but I'm just gonna be here with my smoothie, Reba said, picking up the blender and pouring a thick, purple concoction into a glass. She took a sip, forcing a smile. Delicious.